Let's have a look. We have a little film available that will give a first introduction of your work, because we have two famous choreographers here, internationally renowned, but perhaps some of you didn't know that yet. So a little introduction through this film, and after that we will talk.
So already we tend to copy our own habits. We assume the same position sometimes.
The last image says it all, though.
Yeah.
You are standing there together and next to each other. Your friendship, because do you define it yourself as a friendship also, your relationship? Yeah? Don't give an answer yet. Don't give an answer yet. Yeah, I give you this mic because that is perhaps a little bit more playful.
I can start to say maybe one part of the story. It has been almost. It's from the beginning. It was hard to detach what was the artistic interest and then human complicity. I guess one stimulated the other. From the very beginning, when we met in May '95, we were both in a certain stream on our life. Of course, when people meet, they always have a special moment. Artistically, we were reflecting. We were really engaged to give a new input to the dance community, to dance language, to the dance field. And we knew that it was something very important we would like to do. And that, because of our friendship, we could go on really through all these obstacles and difficulties and research. And so it's a story which is, it is really interwave.
Was it friendship at first sight? I mean, you met at a certain moment. Yeah. You underlined that you had a certain urge to develop dance. Was that immediately clear that you had that same urge? And again, was there friendship at first sight, or did it develop? Can you give an answer to that?
Well, then you have to first, of course, define what friendship is. But what Emio said, when we met each other, we had a sort of common ground to talk about. Discuss. We were very critical about the dance at that time in 1995, the way how it was presented. So it was a discourse. There was a sort of talk, and from there it was also a curiosity. Curiosity, who are you? And he was curious who I am. Also from the different fields, because Emio is really coming from dance. I, in that time, was a theater director, so of another discipline, but very interested and fascinated by the dance. Well, in the 90s was a bit the Pina Bausch followers, the Tanztheater, and more to the abstract you had the Foresight. But for the rest, nothing happens. So that was sort of way the point of our talk. Yeah. And then, again, for your question, what's then friendship? It's you're not busy with friendship. You're more in a sort of hardcore, fight, friction, what you think on different layers, and from there it starts.
Yeah, but still I'm curious, because we know a lot of people working in the arts who collaborate quite strongly, but we also know a lot of people who say, we are colleagues, we work quite intense, but we aren't friends. Do you consider yourself friends?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
And why is that? What is friendship for you in, let's say, 3 sentences?
Impossible. Now, well, it goes beyond friendship. And if Midas said about this family and friendship, I think it's Emio is my brother on that level. And friends, so it goes beyond. So that's in 2 words.
And I'm still curious how it did develop, because again you had a kind of shared insight, perhaps even a shared goal. You wanted to battle together this dance field that needed some addition. Now you did create this addition, and your friendship, I think, did develop. Can you give a little insight? What is it now in relationship to, let's say, 10 years ago?
Well, let's say 10 years ago, we wouldn't think about let's tonight wear the same shirt. But this was more sort of also a sort of joke for the evening. But also I understood that Viktor Rolf supposed to be here, and they're more
this
like
was a quotation.
Wearing the same thing.
But
that was more a comment. The way how it developed, because of course everybody develops, and around you the whole political cultural climate develops. So you develop also as artist. But what stays, and that was also the reason that I think we still work together, is that we still have a friction with each other. We still have, and what we call the sort of constructive friction, that we still can discuss, and we still are individuals, but still need maybe to have this fight. And it's fruitful, this fight.
Yeah, it is really based. It's a friendship based on difference. It is, you can see physically, apart the shirt tonight, this afternoon, we are totally different. The country from where we come from, different, the education, and the way of also to see our, I don't know if our moral, not the moral, but some moralistic.
Because this is it's also important, no? Because you are different, you say. Yeah. Also in the values that you embrace, or is that shared?
Also in the
values.
The general value. It's somehow I think we have the same ethic. The ethic is quite of. Which is, I don't know, the engagement, the surrender for a cause, to battle yourself, to put your body inside, really a soul and soul and body into your artistic proposal. The honesty of, I mean, honesty of. Yeah, to pursue, to continue to be honest somehow in the corrupted world, and all this we can do just because we are together. Maybe if we had been alone, one of these principles would have failed during this year, because you're a bit eroded by I call it corruption of moral corruption. I can use the word since I'm Italian. We know this word very much. And between us, we help to stay, to keep trust in that principle.
Okay, so on one hand, you're saying it's still quite clear what we try to establish or create. We are in a safe haven together. We bond, and because of that, we feel that it helps us not to corrupt ourselves, but yet we are very different. That was also what you underlined. Do you have specific roles? Is there a kind of Is one in initiating? Is one?
If you speak about then the sort of development into our artistic relationship, is that when we started together, I was really a theater director, more from the outside. And Emio started as a dancer, interested in the language of the body and to see how he could express that, and slowly become choreographer. So through the years, I could get a more insight in the body, and also thinking from the inside and more from the outside, and Emio the other way around. So it's Emio could be more the observer also and become more a director.
Responding to that with a very Western question. Did the feeling of ownership also change because of that? That you, in a sense, became more able to embody the work, or do you own it more because you distance yourself from it and witness it perhaps in a different degree than when you started? Can you respond to that?
The ownership between us. I mean, how we feel, what belongs to.
Yeah, because again, from a Western perspective, ownership in relationship to artistry is very important. Yeah. How do you do that, the two of you?
Well, between us is not a problem. It's a problem sometimes when how the work is interpreted outside. Because since in the title of the company Emio Greco, which is Emio Greco Pieter C, in the name Emio Greco it's more evident, and because I used to be on stage, many times the people refer to me as the main creator of the duo.
Did that bother you, Pieter?
Yes.
Was it jealousy?
No, it is not a jealousy, but it's very hard that you have to fight for a sort of position which is not clear, and especially also here in Holland. Like if you see the other models with artistic friendship, like Viktor and Rolf, they come from the same discipline, so you don't have to fight for your position. But coming from theater, and of course I'm interested in dance, and we talk about dance, it's very hard to first to make clear what my role is. It's a theater director, it's a dramaturg. What the hell is a dramaturg? But you know yourself to explain what a dramaturg in dance is. So I was a little bit fed up. So now I also call my choreographer. But if I'm honest, I think, well, I'm not really a choreographer. But to make it also clear to the outer world, and then coming back to your question about authorship, not really to myself, but there should be an authorship for the dance. And Yeah, and that
Can you say that again? It should be an
authorship, so that it's for the dance.
For the dance.
And the dance is coming from the body, so that is for us important.
Let's see. So you're saying I did embrace the title choreographer to explain the outside world a little bit more, how our relationship was. It seems that you're saying the relationship between the two of us is quite clear.
Yes.
There is also another problem of ownership, authorship, because
never.
anyhow the piece belongs to the dance.
Yeah.
It seems that we have to suggest the Dalai Lama that creating artwork is as helpful as meditation. No? I mean,
yeah.
It's quite specific what you underline. So you don't own the work in the end. You don't own the work. It's not yours when you present it on stage.
You mean when it's then is give to the audience? That's yeah. That's the moment exactly that you own till the moment that you own your work till the premiere.
Okay.
And from that moment you feel that it is on the. It belongs to the watcher, to people, to their, because of their interpretation and what they want to do with that. You stay active to keep it real, but you have much less. It's in a situation. It's quite peculiar, quite a strange feeling.
Yeah, generous also. Hey, your roles, you started quite specific from a different background. Can you sketch how you work in the studio, the two of you, and how others, dancers for instance, or other people from the artistic team interfere? Or
the first phase is always the most complicated, of course. You know, when we have to take care that the body is going to speak to really the source. You know, when a composer gets his notes somewhere and he has to write his first notes. When a text writer suddenly comes with text without sort of what's in head is going to be. So that first phase is the most sort of complicated. So we try to create a sort of environment where Amy and I are in the studio, and the body has to come out. So there is a sort of environment. We have some sounds, music, some also where we talk, but it's also a lot of silence. And then slowly you go to fragments, we call it movement fragments, dance fragments, which I try to structure, which I try to name, which I try to put in space, put in place. And then there's the transmission with the dancers, I would say.
Before you continue, because you said we are different, we do this. Now you also share that in this initial phase, there is a lot of silence. How do you do that if friction or countercoloring each other is so important? How do you do that without words? If we heard that words for our for people are so important to connect.
It's not a way of words. It's not a way of. We always say that the movement is a text on its own. And
how does he, when you start moving, step up? And can you then introduce the contra to him by moving, or how do you do that?
Yeah. I think, especially when something is quite recognizable, is quite as in the body which acts, which moves. There is a characteristic which trigger more the interest of people. Trigger more is a sense of understanding. It's where we hook and we start to talk maybe about that situation that happened maybe for a moment in our gesture. I don't know. We can do this kind of and with our raising arm. So this contradiction about a kind of this clock thing and one arm which raise up like a sunrise. So there is a sense of climbing, and we start to say what is that climbs, what it's that it's because the sense of elevation. I don't know. Now I'm just taking one example.
Yeah, but it sounds like you're describing a process that is quite fluid, that goes by itself in a sense, which seems to oppose this image of fighting and discussion.
Yeah, this is of course the softest way. Yeah, we want. No, but there is a lot of there is friction. Sometimes I have to say the friction also by my side. Sometimes I also cause it artificially. So it's like that I resist deliberately to some
harmony.
Opinion of Peter, just because I feel that maybe I have to resist to give to because it's not yet the moment to say yes. It's not yet the moment to agree, because there is.
So that's interesting. You say we have a friendship. It seems that harmony is definitely also an element in that, in a sense that there is a kind of flow in an artistic process at a certain moment. And it seems that you're saying, but I try to invite the conflict sometimes a little bit because I know that it's not there yet. Is that a definition of friendship? That in a playful way you can invite the conflict?
You can?
That you, in a playful way, you can invite the conflict? Is that a definition of friendship? Yeah?
So yeah, for me, yes. Yeah. No,
yes.
But it's also, for us, in our ways, also synchronization is a key word, which means you go your own way, you have your own identity, and on certain moments you know, there is this relation, and there is a sort of this utopia of harmony, maybe, but you need the friction to get to know and to intensify your own identity. And this is the word synchronization, which is also, if you see the work, for us quite important.
Hey, can you imagine that you once are going to create by yourself? Alone?
Till now, no, it never rise. That question.
Is it, last question, is it something that you would suggest to all your young colleague artists in the audience, find a friend to create with, or are there some dangers to it we didn't touch yet?
Yeah, it's not, unfortunately, it's not a formula, it's not something which can apply for everybody. We understand, we recognize that our relation is very, very precious. It's also because when we speak with our colleague all over the world, they all recognize this long collaboration since '95. Very, very. They found something very. Maybe sometimes we are not aware of that, but now because of them, yes, because of this reflection, very, very unique, specific. It's not something that you can suggest, unfortunately. Yes, if you can find a relation that the other one can stretch your own boundaries, because that was our case. Peter helped me to stretch the boundary of the dance. I was looking for that.
So that is perhaps important. Be aware that you need to stretch boundaries anyhow.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's of course
last
it's not
short comment.
It's not a sort of law, but it's the same question from Laura and Hardy. You know, they were also asked, so how you come together, and you have to search for it. And then it's just very simple. We just came together naturally. So, and I think that's the level.
Okay, thanks.